Hi, and welcome to the Anti-Politica channel. I'm Jovan Grahovec. I'm Serbian American and also professor of strategic management, currently on a break due to the widespread vaccine mandates at American universities. I am against those, and I will make a separate video on that topic in the near future, hopefully. This time I wanted to make a couple of comments about the upcoming election next week. And I realized that what I'm about to say may get me in trouble, in the sense that I may not be able to work in my field ever again, given the current climate. But I believe that all of us who are willing to do so should take risks and forcefully reclaim our right to political speech. I understand that universities and companies and various organizations cannot allow their employees to use company or university resources for political speech and propagating certain political views. But I really strongly believe that in our own personal time, on our own personal computer, we should be completely free to engage in political speech without fear of being cancelled or any other kind of professional consequences that we may suffer. So in order to do so, I am going to speak up tonight about something that I've been thinking about over the last couple of months. The central thesis I want to propose here is that this Democratic Party needs to be seriously punished by the voters in the upcoming election. I also believe, and I agree with several analysts and people on the left who believe that the Democrat Party is not reformable. So as far as the country and the political climate in this country, I propose to you that it would be the best possible outcome if the Democrats get so seriously punished next week and lose both the Senate and the House in such a huge proportion that the party collapses under its own weight, and we end up building a separate, new, legitimate, honest left-wing party that any political scene, any kind of healthy country politically needs. So that will be my thesis in tonight's video, and I'm actually going to propose certain things that you may want to consider going into next week. So the first topic, why do I feel about the Democrat Party the way I feel? Here I basically have to say that I agree with Tulsi Gabbard, who was a prominent Democrat until a couple of weeks ago when she left the Democrat Party. And I fully share her criticism of the Democrat Party. And I also believe that her departure is the latest evidence that the party is not reformable. So first things first, let me just sketch certain things that I think clearly illustrate how wrong the Democrats have been over the last couple of years and how much damage they have done to this country. So first of all, warmongering. There's nothing I have to add to what Tulsi Gabbard has said about this question. I think that we are flirting with the nuclear war over Ukraine. I fully support Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard's positions on this, so I will not belabor this point any further. I also think that the reckless spending and handouts to affiliated firms, crony capitalism, and various crony organizations that have benefited from massive spending bills, that has contributed in large part to the current wave of inflation that we see these days. And I believe that the reckless policies, the reckless spending that was basically made possible by the Democrat majorities in the House and the Senate over the last 2 years, have much to blame. Combined with the foreign policies that the Biden administration has pursued, the energy crisis in Europe and so forth. So two major things that they have done have contributed to the wave of inflation and economic problems that we are experiencing, and there is no hiding that fact. I hinted at the COVID, what I call COVID fascism, and forcing people to take vaccine that clearly doesn't prevent the spread of the virus is another major problem, and it's clearly something that the Democrat Party has vigorously pursued. Joe Biden himself was vaccinated multiple times, and many of the bosses in this administration, including Rochelle Walensky, have caught COVID despite being vaccinated multiple times. So there is no rational public health explanation for the current oppressive policies that are instituted across universities, especially in Democrat-run states, but then also in many of our institutions such as the Army, the Navy, and so forth, where people are being basically exposed to completely unnecessary mandates and forced to take medication that they don't want to take or lose their jobs. I think it's highly unethical, and even though there's problem with some Republicans as well, especially in what appear to be some rhino-run states, so-called rhino-run states, the problem is overwhelmingly with the Democrats. So that's another thing that I think needs attention, and one of the reasons why we need to vote Democrat representatives out of office wherever we see them. I'm also angered by the party's hijacking of several legitimate issues, but then turning them on their heads. The racial justice, the way we police our cities are clearly things that need to be looked at, and something that needed attention. But you tell me, when was anything ever improved by taking away money from it? So if you want to improve policing, if you want to basically make it more just and more exposed to public scrutiny, you typically invest in something. You don't improve things by defunding them. You have to actually throw some additional resources, make investments in technology, body cams, various protection mechanisms to make sure that policing is under control, more just and more fair. And the Democrats have pursued this insane policy of defunding the police and instead of investing in better policing. And the result of that we see across Democrat-run cities, in which we see marked deterioration in public safety, increase in crime, and so forth. And I believe that this increase in crime is actually disproportionately hurting communities of color, inner cities, and so forth. So what they have done has really been completely the opposite of what needed to happen. Similarly, issues with tolerance, open-mindedness, and equity. Of course, we want to promote everybody's safety, fighting against discrimination of any marginalized group, and so forth. But they have done this in really ways that have alienated people, and really probably are at risk of being something that really backfires in the long run. So their concern for marginalized communities and the way they went about promoting those marginalized communities, rather than talk about real issues of discrimination, going into school programs and basically going over the parents and instituting some things that are clearly kind of puzzling almost, as far as elementary school curriculum is just something that's an additional indicator of how completely lost this party is, and it probably goes to kind of some deep sense of incompetence. We see lots of mismanagement in Democrat-run cities. I'm politically independent. I'm not a Republican. I don't really like most Republicans, but it seems that Democrat-run cities are particularly managed in horrendous ways, and we see that across the board. It's not just policing. We see, for example, I think it's Jackson, Mississippi, that's now having problems with water supply. So this mismanagement is so deep that some of the cities that they have managed for decades now are kind of falling back civilizationally and are becoming almost like third world cities. And having good drinking water is something that should be that goes with the first world status, and we are kind of, instead of progress, having regress. We are kind of falling behind on these fronts. So given that that's the case, I think that this party needs to be seriously punished and sent a very forceful message next Tuesday. There are lots of people on the left that have argued that the Democrat Party is so corrupt and so owned by certain, what Tulsi Gabbard calls woke elites, but she's not the only one. These people, you may have not, maybe you haven't heard of them because mainstream media are careful not to manage them. But if you look up comedian Jimmy Dore, Dore, he has a channel on YouTube with I believe it's over 1 million followers, and on Rumble he has already hundreds of thousands of followers, and he has this very, very good show on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday evenings where he talks about different issues. And one of his positions is that we need a third party, that Democrats are so deeply corrupt that it's just impossible to transform them. And he cites the example of the Bernie Sanders movement that died down, and now I believe that the departure of Tulsi Gabbard is another indicator that that may really be the case, that this kind of corrupt structure that's kind of inherently blocked at all levels just needs to collapse, so that the genuine, honest left wing in America can start from scratch and build a whole new party that will advocate for certain issues in a more honest way. And it could be that we need to go through that kind of pain to basically end up at a better place in the long run. So if you're a leftist, I recommend that you check out Jimmy Dore and tune into his show. He has wonderful guests, including Glenn Greenwald and Aaron Mate, people from the Gray Zone. So for the genuine American left, we probably do have already the beginnings of a new kind of critical mass to get a serious alternative party going. Myself, I'm not a left-wing person. I'm independent. I'm centrist with a touch of libertarian, but I believe that a genuine left-wing party is necessary in any healthy society. So I just wanted to articulate this view that this may be the way forward. Now, as far as the little homework that I mentioned in the beginning, whether you're a genuine lefty, whether you're a centrist, whether you are independent, that's been really disillusioned and disappointed by what we saw from the Democrats over the last 2 years, especially, I invite you to do some research and look up all the races that you will basically be asked to vote on Tuesday. I did my own research, and believe it or not, the list of choices that we are supposed to make is huge. I have all these races listed here, and I did my research and looked up all the candidates. And going into the election with just saying, okay, rule of thumb, even if you accept my recommendation here to vote against Democrats, if you think that that's enough, that's not the case. There are many races for judges and school boards and other bodies that you will be asked to vote for, and there you need to do a little bit of research, because the ballot will not tell you who is a Democrat and who is not a Democrat. So I invite you to do research and study and come prepared to the election with the names crossed and the names circled, so that you circle the right candidates for each one of these races, so that you make sure that your school boards and other bodies for which you get to vote, you promote people with healthy ideas rather than people with fringe ideas that can only do more damage. I will be the first one to recognize that the vote against Democrats' rules is not perfect. As I said, I'm independent. I don't like many of the Republicans. I think that many of them are just as corrupt as the Democrats. I think that many of them are warmongers, and I will talk about the war in Ukraine in another video. But for now, I think that our best bet is to make sure that the Democrat Party receives a very, very poor result next week, and then we can work on the Republican Party. I also have some issues with some aspects of the MAGA movement, but ironically, the emergence of the MAGA movement may indicate that, in contrast to the Democrat Party, Republican Party may be reformable. But this is not a done deal. That will require a lot of work in moving forward. But for now, regarding the upcoming election, I think that our best bet is to make sure that the Democrats are defeated wherever they can be defeated, and then we can work on the Republicans and make them better, more responsive, less corrupt, and more constructive and more peace-loving and less warmongering. But first things first. So good luck going into next week. I'll see you soon. Bye.